So we know that time travel into the future is 1000% possible because we do it every single day. The arrow of time is an illusion. If you lived in the fourth dimension or higher, you would be able to see the past, present, and future all at once. In the beginning, there was eternal thought, and for thought to be eternal, time must exist. See, you don't actually physically move. You don't go anywhere. Quantum physics proves locality and distance is actually an illusion. Your mind shall be free. They can lock up the body, but they can never lock up the mind unless you give them authority to. And Thoth said, "List ye, O man, take of my wisdom. Learn of his deep hidden mysteries of space." He says the deep hidden mysteries of space. He's talking about the ether of space-time itself, this soup that we're living in. Learn of the thought that grew in the abyss, bringing order and harmony in space. He's talking about the thought. Thoth, the word thought comes from the name Thoth. That's how we originated the name. But what he's talking about, thought that grew in the abyss, talking about out of nothing came a thought. What is the first Hermetic principle? All is mind. That is the very first Hermetic principle. And so since all is mind, we're seeing here how the principles laid out many thousands of years later still fall back to the original, which is 36,000 years old. Know ye, O man, that all exists as being only because of the law. Know ye the law, and ye shall be free. Never be bound by the fetters of night. What he's saying here is once you understand this law, once you understand this universal law that all is mind, that mind transcends space and time, that mind then also goes out and sets out to create, it will set you free. You ever heard of a person that's talking about being imprisoned, right? And they've endured many, many years of imprisonment, and some of them become enlightened, and you ask them, how did you do the time? They say their mind was never in prison because the mind can travel, right? Look at remote viewers. I did a whole workshop on remote viewing. It's on Forbidden Knowledge TV. If you look at remote viewers, what do you see? You see that we're able to set our mind outside of space and time and gather intel on targets and locations. Why is that? Because the mind can transcend space and time. So what he's saying here is, know ye the law, and ye shall be free. Your mind shall be free. They can lock up the body, but they can never lock up the mind unless you give them authority to. Never be bound by the fetters of night. Never be locked up by darkness. Far through strange spaces have I journeyed into the depth of the abyss of time. This man's talking about time travel 36,000 years ago. He says, far through the strange spaces I have journeyed into the depth of the abyss of time, until in the end, all was revealed. So he went back, probably and forward in time, looking and learning along the way. Know ye that mystery is only a mystery when it is knowledge unknown to man. Listen to that. Mystery is only a mystery when it is knowledge unknown to man. So it's only a mystery because you don't know about it, right? Anything that you don't know about is a mystery to you. We have to learn about it. It's a mystery to most people. How does a cell phone work? It's a mystery because they've never looked into it. They never studied it. They have no knowledge of how a cell phone actually works. It just magically lights up and they can hear somebody on the other end. They don't really understand how it works. It's like a mystery. Until you study the science behind how it works and the technology behind how it works, then it becomes no mystery anymore because you have gained the knowledge. When ye have plumbed the heart of all mystery, knowledge and wisdom will surely be thine. In other words, he's saying here, when you have studied the depth of information, of knowledge against something that's a mystery to you, then it won't be a mystery to you anymore. You'll be wise. And this is a message to us for many things we can apply to in our lives. In other words, let's stop guessing and being ignorant to things that we should have knowledge of. Things are holding us back in life. Things are keeping us locked down. There's situations that are being withheld from us, blessings that we're actually not getting access to, simply because we won't put the energy into gaining the wisdom and knowledge to set ourselves free from the lack of knowledge, which is called ignorance. Seek ye and learn that time is the secret whereby ye may be free of this space. He's saying once you have the knowledge of time and how it works, how to send your mind through time, you'll be free of this space. In other words, the space that you're in, not space in the stars, but the space that you're occupying at this moment in time. So I add some conjecture to this. Thoth is telling us again what the sages of old have been saying for eons. Time does not exist. Clocks exist. When your scientists figure this out, they will rediscover what the ancients already knew. According to the theory of special relativity, it explains how there's a difference of time that elapses between two events as measured by observers. For example, if one person moves faster than another person, then the first person will experience time at a slower rate. And the clock, the faster the person is carrying, will tick slower than the clock the second person is carrying. With this understanding, it is not so difficult to accept the fact that the arrow of time is an illusion. If you lived in the fourth dimension or higher, you would be able to see the past, present, and future all at once. In general relativity, clocks that are near the stronger gravitational field of a planet run slower. This is an actual scientific fact. When I went to Egypt, I took them to the Great Pyramid at Giza, 2 million blocks of stone. Every single one of us, as we approached the Great Pyramid, time began to slow down for us. It's called time dilation. Why? Because those 2 million blocks of stone have so much mass that it creates a time dilation bubble around us. And so as a person that's standing directly next to the Great Pyramid is experiencing time microns slower than the person that is 100 miles away from the Great Pyramid or closer to less mass. And so we know this. So time is bendable. Time is malleable. It's not a straight arrow, right? A straight arrow of time is actually an illusion. And we know that these time dilation bubbles exist. And if you get into an airplane and fly from here to California, I'm in Florida, fly from Florida to California, and I'm standing on the ground, because of relativity, you're actually going to become plunk units of age younger than me, as I'm standing on the ground experiencing time at a much higher rate. And because you're moving in a plane that's moving at 450 miles an hour or 500 miles an hour, you're experiencing time at a slightly slower rate. So we know that time travel into the future is 1,000% possible because we do it every single day. Anybody that's moving away at a speed from a person that's standing in a still location, that will create a time travel experiment. We know, for example, anyone who's ever gotten on a rocket is now slightly younger than the people that stayed on Earth. Right? If you were to travel away from Earth at the speed of light for 1 light year and come right back another light year, that's 2 light years, 1 light year up, 1 light year back, the people on Earth would have aged probably 20 years. So we know that time traveling to the future and staying on the same exact timeline is perfectly normal. It only seems that the timeline changes when you go backwards in time. Time traveling backwards in time leads you to an alternative timeline, which is why you can go back in time and bump into yourself. You also have the grandfather paradox, where if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, well, how in the world were you able to go back in time? Because you should have never been born. But this can only be done because once you go back in time, you slip into an alternative timeline. In other words, in the multiverse, there is a sea of universes. And going back in time transfers you in some unexplainable way into an alternative timeline. Okay? Let me get back to Thoth. Thoth says, Long have I, the God of wisdom, sought wisdom, and shall seek eternity's end. For know that ever before me receding shall move the goal I seek to attain. Even the lords of the cycles know that not yet have they reached the goal. For with all their wisdom, they know that truth ever grows. He's talking about the fact that knowledge is a lifelong journey. Knowledge is not something, oh, I know this, I'm done, I'm good to go, I'm good. I got everything I need to know now. I'm good, I'm straight. No, that's not how it works. A true seeker of knowledge and wisdom knows that it's a lifetime, everlasting journey. You never stop seeking and learning and gaining wisdom and knowledge. The day that you do is the day that you start dying spiritually. He said, even the lords of the cycles know that not yet have they reached the goal. For with their own wisdom, they know that truth ever grows. There's more truth, and sometimes previous ideas or concepts or hypotheses can be overturned if you are a true truth seeker. If you really are truly seeking wisdom and understanding. Over time, not all, but some of your concepts and ideas and perspectives will begin to evolve and change. It's not dogmatic. A truth seeker is not dogmatic in their belief system. Dogmatic belief is religion. Dogmatic belief is politics. Spiritual understanding and growth seeks attainment of adept initiate knowledge, nonstop. Once in a past time, I spoke to the dweller. He's talking about the dweller of Undal, which is really his father. Asked him the mystery of time and space. Asked him the question that surged in my being, saying, "O Master, what is time?" Then he spoke to me, he the Master. Know ye, O Thoth, in the beginning there was void and nothingness, a timeless, spaceless nothingness. And into the nothingness came a thought, purposeful, all-pervading, and it filled the void. There existed no matter, only force of movement, a vortex. We're talking about a torus energy field, or vibration. Vibration, what is a vibration? Cymatics. In the beginning was the word, and the word was what? Vibration, frequency, cymatics, sound. Of the purposeful thought that filled the void. A purposeful thought. When we look at the double slit experiment, and we see that when particles are shot, microscopic particles like electrons or photons are shot through a tiny little slit, when they hit the back wall of that experiment, they create a wave pattern until we put an eyeball down there, a little looking glass or a camera to see what's going on. Then the electrons convert from becoming a wave into a particle and leave a digital print on the back of that experiment wall. Why is that? Because electrons make a conscious decision to collapse into digital matter based on conscious observation since the beginning of what we call time in this universe. The thought went out, conscious thought from the universal consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it. That thought then, if you really research string theory, began to vibrate these microscopic subatomic strings, which began to vibrate cymatic frequencies that emanated this universe into existence. The universe exists, according to quantum physics, as waves of potential until consciousness interacts with those waves and collapses it into what we call solid matter. We know that solid matter is actually an illusion. Distance is an illusion. Locality is also an illusion. And Thoth said, and I questioned the master saying, what was this thought? Was it eternal? And answered me the dweller saying, in the beginning, there was eternal thought. And for thought to be eternal, time must exist. So they had to inject time into a scenario in order to emphasize the fact that the thought was eternal. So into all-pervading thought grew the law of time. Time, which exists through all space, floating in a smooth rhythmic movement that is eternally in a state of fixation. Time changes not, but all things change in time. This is written 36,000 years ago. For time is the force that holds events separate, each in its own proper place. Time is not in motion, but ye move through time as your consciousness moves from one event to another. See, you don't actually physically move. You don't go anywhere. Quantum physics proves locality and distance is actually an illusion. What is moving through this ether? It is your mind that's moving. And guess what? There's only one mind. Your meat suit that you call your body, it exists as both a wave of light and solid matter. We are truly beings of light because all that exists in the third dimension is made of light. Light waves that we can't physically see with our human eyes because our human eyes can only see less than 1% of the light spectrum. But yet, physics.org put out an incredible article just a few years ago showing how matter converts from waves of potential into solid matter based on conscious observation. They actually caught a particle in transition, moving from a wave into solidity, giving us that illusion that gives us this perspective of a third dimensional realm that we inhabit. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around the fact that the only thing that exists here is consciousness. But as you heard me say before, if you look at the as above, so below from the Hermetic principles, you'll realize what I'm telling you is a fact. If you see your mind in your head, your brain inside of your skull, so to speak, and then magnify that from the micro to the macro, and then take it on as a universal consciousness. What's going on? What is a universe on a massive scale doing, right? If you look at your brain inside of your skull, locked in complete darkness, it doesn't know what's going on outside of itself. It has no clue. But your brain has what? Friends, hearing, sight, smelling, seeing, taste, touch, and everything else, all your senses. So your brain says to the sensory perception friends, hey guys, go out there and collect some data. Let me know what's going on. So the friends go out. They themselves don't know what they're collecting. Eyes go out and pick up photons, right? The fingers go out and touch things. The tongue tastes things. The nose smells things. The ears are hearing. They don't know what they're collecting. They're collecting data, raw data that they themselves cannot decipher. They transmit that information or that data to the brain, and then the brain sorts it all out and says, oh, this is what's going on out there. And then you navigate through this holographic matrix based on a holographic projection from your consciousness. The only thing that's moving here is your mind, not you. That's it. And there's only one. The universe has separated itself into googles and googles of entities to give the illusion of separation so that they can experience the life subjectively as individual entities or people, even a blade of grass, a rock, even the atoms that make up this book, this microphone. Everything is conscious. Because why? All atoms are conscious because the electrons that orbit the atoms are conscious because they can make conscious decisions based on observation and conscious thought. Time is not in motion, but ye move through time as your consciousness moves from one event to another. I, by time, yet exist. All in all, an eternal one existence. Eternal one, O-N-E, caps. They put all caps. O-N-E, we are all one. Know ye that even in the time ye are separate, ye are still one in all times existent. What Thoth is saying here that even though we look to be separate individuals and our minds seem to be separate minds, completely detached from one another, he's saying, no, ye are still all one with a capital O-N-E, in all times existent. A reference here from In Search of Miraculous by Ph.D. Opensky. George Gurdjieff claimed man lives in life in sleep. and in sleep he dies. In other words, he was saying that people cannot perceive reality in their current states because they do not possess a unified consciousness, but rather live in a state of hypnotic waking sleep. Figurative claims was that humans live in a waking dream and only a dream that they are awake. This state of waking sleep is also called relative consciousness. It is the level of consciousness that ordinary humans are born into. They live their lives and then die in, never waking into one or more objective states of full awareness, because most humans are walking around in a state of waking sleep. They are never able to know who they truly are, and therefore they remain unaware of their true motivations and the causal forces which motivate them in their daily choices and activities. In conclusion, when humans cannot determine their true motivations and remain unaware, they lie to themselves, and thus their entire lives are lies. Reference is In Search of Miraculous by Ph.D. Oprinsky. That's powerful. That is powerful. And guess what? I agree with him 1000%. There's people walking around out here that are soulless avatars simply operating on matrix programming. They're living, but they're not alive. And they're all around us. They're all over the place. People that have never woken up to who they truly actually are. They simply are operating on the code that they've been programmed and given since they were born, since they were even in the womb at gestation. The same code, just running on programming, never exceeding the programming, never reprogramming the programming, never editing it, never hacking themselves, just running on the pure code and living a complete lie, believing that they're alive, but they're not.